Here we are with another episode of the Geek Out. We have some familiar faces here, and this is episode number 13. I am not going to try holding up my fingers this time. There's too many numbers there, too many digits. But we are on lucky number 13, and this is the episode before Christmas, so I decided to add a few accessories here, and we got everybody else here. That is just a circle of awesome right here. We got Lauren, and we got Robert.
Waffles.
We got Kiefer.
Hi.
And we have Tiffany in the middle there, which I forgot to, introduce her. She was supposed to be like, hey, look, it's the Geek Out logo, and poof, here's Tiffany. But, that's my bad. But today we have a single topic. We're going to try to see how far we can take it. But it's a pretty interesting question. And it's if anybody's ever seen the movie Downsizing, and for what we're discussing today, you don't really have to have seen the whole movie because we're not really discussing the movie as much as the concept of the movie. But in the movie Downsizing, it's all about microsizing yourself to a 5-inch version of yourselves to, solve overpopulation and all sorts of different issues that are going on in the world right now. Reduce resource usage, and it's going to make it more affordable for you to live and other things. So it really comes down to, in reference to such of a concept, would you do it? And we're just going to throw this out there, and because there's a lot of pros and cons to this, so let's discuss that. And all right, topics on the table.
Robert, why don't you start?
Okay. Since I'm the one that brought the topic. I've seen tidbits of the movie, but like James said, you don't need to really see it. So, for me, I like the idea of downsizing. I mean, there's some serious pros and cons. I would have to do a lot of research because, once you become 5 inches, that's it. You can't go back. So I would probably first do a bucket list of everything I want to do as normal size. After that's done, and I feel okay with it, I would still do a lot of research, but I would lean towards downsizing. Financial aspects, I'd probably retire. I could probably just help with the carbon footprint. That'd be pretty nice. I'm hoping, one thing that came to mind is I would be able to do things small that I couldn't do as big, like space travel. I don't know what the G-forces are on a regular person in terms of 5-inch, but maybe since I'm smaller, the G-forces wouldn't be as bad, and then you could set up a bunch of people up in space, and I don't know, they can, live on a satellite or do long distance travel. I'm sure cryogenics would be smaller as 5 inches. Maybe even go underwater. Maybe the same thing with pressure. Maybe you could explore places we couldn't as normal since we're only 5 inches. Once again, it goes to the whole size and depth and everything else. This is all just me spitballing and everything else. I'm just saying that I would do it, but there would be a lot of research involved. But if everything worked out okay, I would think about doing it.
The scientific aspects of it are actually, I hadn't thought of that. That's interesting. How with it being so much less body mass, how things like oxygen and, as Robert was saying, going underwater and such, how that would actually affect the body. I have absolutely no idea, to be honest. Kiefer, you're still in school. Do you know?
No. I'm pretty clueless. The only thing is I would say no to the downsizing thing. Because think about it. In the movie, they only downsize organic material. So the thing about technology, that wouldn't really downsize well. So let's say you have like a NES or something that you have. You can't really downsize that. And they're not going to make production factories that small to make small NESs. So you're basically out of luck. So any console generation before that, which doesn't have a factory plant downsized, you're basically out of luck. Plus, think about it like new technology, like if you have a phone or something. Eventually that phone's going to be out of date, correct? So the thing is that imagine if like the business that you downsized from, they go out of business, all the other places realize that it's a failing market, they all drop out, okay? Then you're kind of just stuck small with very little support. No one's wanting to downsize anymore. You won't be able to get new technology or anything. It depends on so many factors, and you have to really trust the company that they're not going to go out of business or anything. There's so many factors. I don't think it would be worth it to take the dive, like, oh yeah, I'm going to save the planet, and then realize, oh wait, I'm stuck, and there's no one supporting me anymore, like dead technology. So you're just kind of stuck. I wouldn't do that.
Well, in that respect, I mean, I don't think I would do it because one of my greatest thrills is traveling all over the world and seeing things. And so if I was downsized, I'm not sure I would be able to do that, because, going to see, like, let's say the temples in Angkor Wat as a 5-inch person, you couldn't get to the top. It would take you for friggin' ever and things like that. So, but like what you're saying, as far as the company going under and not being supported and everything, I think that would depend on your age. Because let's say you were in your 70s and, you kind of want to live the high life for the remainder of your years and you only have a few more years. So sure, at that point, maybe. But no, not right now. I wouldn't want to do it. And I just wouldn't want to do it. Not at this point.
Yeah, I agree with Tiffany. There's way too much of the world to see, and that would limit that ability. Of course, if you could find your way onto the plane, you probably wouldn't have to pay for paper, plane tickets. Traveling would be free if you could actually get to it, but no, I probably wouldn't do it either.
I can see people smuggling little people in on their luggage. Just passing through the little scanner, and they're like, yeah, we have a little person smuggler here.
There are plenty of ways to go green without having to take that drastic a step.
Well, it's one thing if you downsize everybody and do it that way. But then you've got all these big things around you that are now pretty much useless. So there's a lot of things that you would have to do before you downsized everybody in the world. You'd have to make things safer and then think about the animals in the world. So now you're 5 inches tall and you want to go to the Congo because you've never been and it would be fantastic to see. But now everything is so much huger and that tiny spider is now not so tiny and attacking you. And then there you are, screwed by a tiny spider that wouldn't hurt you normally, but now will kill you. Yeah. So there's all kinds of things.
Yeah, not to mention in Australia with the giant spiders. They're even more giant now. It's like Mothra except a spider.
Well, and you come across a tiger. Ah! Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
You actually touch on some really good points there, because I was going to bring that up in this discussion, that a system like that is never going to work unless everybody does it. If only a small portion of the human population takes advantage of this, and there's still a portion of the population that is still full size, there's going to be a big, control issue. Because, they're, 100 times taller than us and bigger than us, and they're going to use that to, by us, I guess I'm assuming I'm one of the little people, I wouldn't do it, but that, they're going to use that to their advantage to take control over the smaller population and rule over them. So there's never going to be any freedom involved. You're just going to be constantly exploited all the time. And then, of course, there is the circle of life that completely changes. So, Tiffany, you nailed it right there. Because what once was very little things that are predators, now everything's a predator. And everywhere we go, it could be dangerous, because you never know what might be lurking around the corners or under the ground or in the shadows. And yeah, that would make things interesting.
Well, I mean, I'm sure we've all seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. But at least they could go back if it wasn't working out. You're going to come across things that you didn't even consider as being hard. And how did they build all these little places for these little people to stay? Did they downsize a construction crew and they just started building mansions? Or are they living in a Barbie mansion? I don't know, because I haven't seen the movie. But still, it's not feasible unless you can shrink everything that is living. And then, I don't think it's a good plan.
One thing that I saw as well was the reason that everything was so cheap and affordable was because the larger people could make the smaller things with less materials, and thus, it would just kind of work out because, less materials, larger people could build them, it takes less time. But if everyone downsized, prices would hyperinflate again because, everyone's small, so then the small people have to build the small buildings, so then therefore it takes the same amount of time and it uses the same amount of resources. It would be harder to get resources as well because, you can't just have mines would have to be a lot smaller and you wouldn't be able to, it just wouldn't really work out too well.
It would eventually. It just, because by then, we'd be manufacturing smaller gear and, you'd be chipping away at trees like you would be at the rocks instead of cutting trees down, but that big chunk you took out of that tree can build a couple homes with, versus chopping a whole tree down and you just kind of sort of built part of a wall. So that is part of the concept is, saving the earth by using less resources as well as solving overpopulation, because suddenly, the earth is 20 to 50 times bigger than it was before. And we have all this space to spread out and not be so crowded anymore. But it's true, though, because if we're all small, then the methods that go into collecting all of these resources and building the things we need are going to be exactly the same as they are now. So prices will remain the same. The only thing that would benefit from it is the earth. The earth will be able to regrow and replenish and breathe a little bit because we're no longer this heavy giant virus sitting on its back anymore. Now we're just a smaller tribe of virus spreading out.
I mean,
Exactly.
technology-wise at least, we would basically have to, if we were going to do that, we would have to do almost a total reset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, restart everything over again at our size. And that would take who knows how long. That would probably take longer than a couple of generations.
And then get taken out by an ant.
Yep. This is true. There was a movie that just came out recently that touches on some of that. Robert, what was the name of the movie? It was Love and Monsters? Is that what it was?
Yeah, except that we were normal sized, and then all the insects got bigger.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's kind of like that. You never know. You're constantly being hunted because the hunter becomes the hunted.
Mm-hmm.
well, all I know is that I would still consider it personally. I mean, once again, I didn't watch the whole movie. I just saw snippets of it. In terms of technology, they have the newest phones and everything else, and computers and televisions, and they actually have communities built, models where people can live, from what I can see. And I think the Earth is whatever the script is. But no, like I said, there's pros and cons. But me, I would do the research, and I would probably think I would do it. I would say maybe with space travel. If they could build like a small spaceship, and I can help with the space program in terms of exploring space and cryogenics because I'm smaller. Doesn't have to be for everybody. It could just be, like I said, this is all hypothetical, but maybe space travel will be easier on a smaller scale. Cryogenics on a smaller scale. Maybe send a human crew with satellites, so when satellite breaks down, there's someone there to fix it. Smaller scale.
They'll be living on the satellite.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be, granted, it's a one-way mission. You sign up for that, but still, it'd be once of a lifetime.
Well, and sending people to Mars, for instance, to check it out, it'd be easier if they were smaller, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, is the concept perfect? Probably not. A lot of pros and cons, but depending where I am, I would, if it was really worked out, then yeah, I would think about doing it. But like I said, I would have a bucket list. There's probably things I want to do normal size, but
before you're shrunk.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, maybe I could space, water. Be interesting.
Yeah.
I would say I would only do it if you're able to reverse. So if you're able to do it at will and say, I'm going to shrink down for a week and have some fun, go on this weird exploration vacation, that you can only pull off when you're tiny. I mean, that would be fun, because that brings back memories of Red Faction, this video game where it just had a wonderful community of modders that created custom maps. I mean, there's hundreds upon hundreds of custom maps, and a lot of them, are just like super sized rooms and buildings and stuff like that, where suddenly you were like this tall, running around trying to get across the bookshelves and everything else. That was kind of fun. So if you could do stuff like that temporarily, and at the end of the day or the end of the week, just say, okay, I'm going to go back to my normal size, that'd be all right.
Yeah, if it was reversible and it was just you're doing it for a little while, yeah, that would be cool. I could be Ant-Man or Ant-Girl or whatever it is.
Yep, the Wasp.
The Wasp.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you
But it
think
also depends on the type of shrinking. Like if it's Ant-Man where you maintain the same mass and it's just you're shrunk smaller, or I don't remember. Was it like you lost body mass or in the movie? I think it was,
God.
right?
I don't think I paid any attention to that.
I think with Ant-Man, you're smaller, but you're actually stronger. During the fight scenes, he can knock somebody out. So
Yeah.
I
I
think
think
that's
sorry. I was just saying I think that's because he was the same mass, so then he could throw the same weight behind a punch and such like that. It's just the thing was, they're compressing the space between the atoms or something like that in Ant-Man. So then
Right.
I thought that was what it was, wasn't it?
Something like that.
I have no idea.
Because when he
Sounds
fell,
good.
when he fell and he was really small, then he kind of hit the concrete, or the not the concrete, but it was like the tiling on the floor. Then it cracked because he weighed the same,
Right.
but he was just compressed more and smaller. Like,
So how much did he weigh in the first place? Because I don't know. I've fallen on tile before and never cracked it.
well, yeah, but he's like very the surface area is very smaller, and that amount of weight going on in like this amount of space would do more damage than a wider dispersed
Right.
person.
yeah. And if you think about it, and once again, this is based on the movie saying that it's only unreversible. I would think that if you can make someone small, why can't you make him someone big again? This is just a movie plot to make it interesting, saying that once you go small, you can't go back and everything else. But once again, this is all hypothetical. So.
Well, I did not see the movie, but I did read a review of the movie. And the guy that reviewed it was saying how the first part was good, but the second part was not good once it got in, because it got away from the interesting part, which was the downsizing, and into
Drama.
more esoteric things. So yeah, it's an interesting concept, but I still wouldn't want to do it, I don't think, unless it was temporary.
There's just too many flaws, especially because you're not going to be able to get the entire population to do it unless you did it by force. As long as there's only a portion of the human population doing it, there's always going to be those that are seeking control over those people smaller than them, and it's just the human way, unfortunately.
Well, that's ridiculous. What purpose would it serve to control little people? Oh, I am the overlord. I will control the little people. Ridiculous.
Yep.
Only a man
Humans
would
are ridiculous. Only a man. Wow.
Oh.
I
Well, it
don't
would
know
also
about
be-
that.
I mean, someone like a foreign country, like in Europe or something, if they're like, oh yeah, we'll do it, they hide a bunch of people underground as special force, and then once everyone in a different country does it, they send the large people out to conquer the land because, the little people can't do anything about it. Then, hey, now that country owns 3/4 of the world.
For what purpose?
Well, I mean,
the same purpose that we've been using for many years as an excuse. It's just power and control, and we want more and more and more. It's gluttonous. It's human instinct for some reason. It's just there's never enough. You always got to have more. And power is everything. It's that people get drunk on that. Yes, it has to be all or nothing. Someone has to just hit a button and go, "Oops, honey, I shrunk the population," and it's done.
Yeah, I don't know. Still wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't either. Nah, I'm quite happy with my size and my life as it is. I don't think I'd shrink down. Again, temporary. I'd do it because it's adventure. It sounds fun. But that's it for me.
I guess I'll still stand by my answer, and I would strongly consider it.
Yeah, you really want to go to space, I could tell.
Well, I don't know. I mean, think about it. I'm 5 inches tall. How much G forces can it be on a 5-inch person versus a tall person?
Right.
No.
And I don't know the science for that.
I don't know. And then, like I said, maybe I can help with long distance travel. I don't know. Just freeze me. Go to Saturn or anything else. Maybe just explore for 10 years. Wake me up. You know.
Yeah, he just wants to go to space. That's it.
Yeah, that's all going on here.
Why not? I mean, if it's easier, you know.
See, he'll be on this rant about wanting to do this until SpaceX just goes, we can just let you in here the way you are, and you're off to space. You want to come? And he'll be like, oh, yep. And that's the end of the conversation. Off he goes.
Check out how you deal with G-force before you choose to go out to space, though.
No, that's why I
Disney
said
World.
as 5 inches, not as a normal person. 5 inches.
Well, have you experienced G-force as a normal person?
No.
Oh, well, okay.
He's not adventurous.
We can down to Walt Disney World, Tiffany, and get him on mission space.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Walt Disney World, stick him in, bring him to Epcot, and stick him on there to see what he does.
Yep.
That's never going to happen.
Why not?
You don't want to feel G-force, or you don't want to go to Disney World?
I have no desire to go to Disney World, and I definitely don't want to do G-forces. So.
Well, it's an interesting.
So he wants the space without the challenge. That's what he wants. That's the big issue. He's like, he wants to achieve it, but without having to do anything to get there.
Once again, this is all hypothetical. 5 inches. So since that's never going to happen, I'm good.
Well, it could happen. See, this is perfect because you want to do this so badly. This gives SpaceX an opportunity. So, Elon, if you're watching this video, if you come across the technology to super shrink somebody down to 5 inches, Robert will be more than happy to volunteer himself as a guinea pig for the next space launch to determine what the G-force is on a 5-inch human being versus a full-size human being. This would make for the perfect scientific study. And it's all thanks to Robert, who's volunteering himself for the study. He wants to do it. So there you go, Elon. You have a free guinea pig that'll do anything you want.
Yeah, I'm going to get paid for it, so I'm good. Well, in the movie concept, your savings is, to your height. So that's in the movie. That's one of the attractions of shrinking down is whatever you were doing on a regular size, you're like a millionaire smaller. So that's why a lot of people were doing it to begin with. Yeah. So I'm assuming that'll be the same thing for me when I test subject the 5-inch G-forces. So,
Yep.
Could be.
I would have assumed the largest effect would have been your mass would be smaller, so then you can your weight would be smaller. So then the thing is that they could they don't have to have as much, or they don't have to conserve as much fuel because they don't have to account for your weight as much when going in. So it'd probably be cheaper in the long run too.
Well, you could use a much, much, much smaller rocket.
Yeah. Or more
you could
people
just have
to a rocket.
More and more things in the rocket, like cargo.
We can send the entire city of Las Vegas to Mars in one mission.
Yep.
Yeah, probably the weather is about the same. Hot, dry.
Yeah, dust storms.
Cold at night.
But there's some robots to play with when we get there. Anyone else?
I got nothing else.
All right.
Unless you want to talk about the Mandalorian.
Mandalorian. We'll save that for another day for those that haven't seen it yet. So I guess that covers the question there. So downsizing, would you do it or would you not? And all the pros and cons. I wouldn't do it. She wouldn't do it. She wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. Robert is absolutely for it. So again, Elon or anybody else, you got to, well, I say free guinea pig. Obviously, now he wants money as well. So he will do it. He wants to do it, but apparently he wants money. So you got a guinea pig there. He's willing to do it, though. And just imagine what paperwork he's willing to sign just so he can get out into space. So definitely take advantage of that. Anyone out there who needs to, and for you, the viewers, what are your opinions? What do you think? Would you do it? Would you not do it? Use the comment section below to discuss this and share your own thoughts and ideas on this topic. And of course, if you'd like to suggest topics for the future, we'll definitely consider them for future episodes as well. And subscribe. Darn it, subscribe. Because if you don't subscribe, we don't have as much, that's carrying us along between each episode. We need that motivation, that extra push, and subscriptions gets us there. Because, yeah. So subscribe. And then people, we have all these awesome people in here with us today that did a great job in answering a single question and taking us through an entire episode with just one thought. So, Lauren, that way, Lauren, Robert, Kiefer, and Tiffany. I'm James. I'm the guy that talks a lot. So there you have it. This is episode 13 surrounding the concept of downsizing. Use those comments and subscribe, and we will see you on the next episode. Until then, and happy holidays.